Hey you guys, it's Lauren. Welcome back. So today's video is going to be a review of Tarte's brand new foundation, their Face Tape foundation. They've re-released this with a whopping 50 shades, and I wanted to do a full review of it. I actually originally was going to do a first impressions with a wear test, but I had to change my plans a little bit, and you'll see why. But I wanted to make sure I gave the foundation the best shot. So lots of things to get through, so we'll just go ahead and get started. So we all know that this foundation is not without its controversy. It was originally released last year in 2 different formulas with a mere 12 shades. And you know what, it's not even the fact that it was just only 12 shades, it was the fact that the shades weren't uniform across the board. As a matter of fact, I feel like they had like 10 fair shades and there was only like 2 dark shades. It was pretty bad, so people were pissed, people sounded off, people boycotted online, people didn't buy the foundation, people sounded off on Tarte's social media. So I asked you guys on my Insta stories how many of you would be interested in purchasing this foundation. It was pretty much 50-50, right in the middle. 50% of you said you were still really intrigued by this release. The other 50% said that you were completely over it. And I can see why. I think this is such a polarizing topic still because of Tarte's initial apology. It was so bad, their initial response. I think they blamed the poor selection on the season of the year. It was, yeah, really, really bad. But now they've come back in a big way and they released 50 shades. So I think that is great. I think it's important to bring light to the situation. Hopefully this will trickle down to other brands. People can learn from Tarte, they can learn from their mistakes. It's a shame that they didn't get it right in the first time, but you know what? People stood up for what they believed in and a change was made, so I think that's great. So I wanted to pick this up and review it for you guys. I was super intrigued by this. The Shape Tape Concealer is one of my favorites, and there's just something about that concealer. It's that one makeup product that you can apply and it just makes such a dramatic difference in your whole makeup look. So fingers crossed, I was hoping that the foundation would do the same. I would love to hear everybody's thoughts down below. What do you think of this re-release? Do you think Tarte should have just gotten it right in the first time, or do you think it's a positive thing that they learned from their mistakes and now they have a 50 shade selection? What do you guys think? I'm hoping that, you know, maybe not a 50 shade will be the standard, but hopefully this 40 shade foundation selection will be just the new standard across the board and everybody can take a page from Tarte's book. And unfortunately Tarte had to take the brunt of it, but hopefully, like I said, this will trickle down to other brands. So lots of things to get through. I'll go ahead and get started. So I'm going to insert my try on and my original check-in, and then you'll see my check-in from the second day. I did change some things up. I just wanted to make sure my skin was nice and hydrated, and then the second check-in is after I used a more of a pore filling primer. So yeah, I just wanted to give this foundation the best shot so you guys could really get the most out of this review. So yeah, we'll go ahead and get started. Okay, so this foundation is supposed to be full coverage and have a flawless natural matte finish. It comes in this nice plastic bottle with a pump. It's a little over 1 fluid ounces. And as far as the ingredients go, this contains snow mushroom extract. There's a lot of emerging research with mushrooms in skincare right now, and snow mushroom is supposed to be known for its antioxidant and hydrating properties, and also sodium hyaluronate is in here as well. We all know and love sodium hyaluronate for its humectant, water retaining properties. So hopefully this is really going to pack a punch when it comes to moisture. I'm hoping so anyway because my skin is super dry. Those ingredients come in at the bottom of the list. At the top of the ingredient list we have a ton of silicones, which I don't mind because again that's going to be occlusive and hopefully help to float over my pores and not fill in my fine lines and wrinkles. So lots of good things in this foundation, so I'm really excited to try this. And as far as the shade goes, I picked up 22N Light Neutral. Now in my Tarte Shape Tape Concealer, I always pick up the shade Light Medium Honey. I like this because it has a little bit more of like a pinky undertone, so it really helps to cancel out those bluish undertones underneath my eyes. But this I wanted more of, I don't know, more neutral tones in my foundation. So here's how they look side by side if you're curious. The foundation actually looks like it's going to be a little lighter, so we'll see how the shade match goes. And I'm going to use my Eco Tools sponge. I love this beauty sponge. It's probably one of my favorites. I'm going to squirt a little bit out onto this sponge here. Oh, it's a little bit more liquidy than I thought. Okay, so I'm just going to start with one side of my face so we can compare the coverage. It has almost like a lemony smell. It smells like the It Cosmetics CC creams. So far the coverage is looking really good. It feels really lightweight. Now, I look for a couple things when it comes to a matte foundation. I don't want it to accentuate any dry patches or sink into any of my fine lines. And I, of course, want it to be extra hydrating. A lot of matte foundations can really just suck the life out of my skin, so I'm really picky when it comes to a matte foundation. So hopefully this works out. I like the fact that they're saying it's going to be a natural finish, so hopefully it lives up to the claim. And it actually is. So far, so good. It looks pretty good. Oh my gosh, look at that coverage. It's covering everything. I feel like it is accentuating my pores right here. I do feel like it's a little bit more on the yellow side. So if your skin does lean a little bit pinky toned, maybe go for more of a pinky undertone, but I don't know, it looks like it's going to be a pretty good shade match for me. Oh my gosh, can you see how it's totally accentuating my lines over here? A little scary. Okay, so you definitely have to work this foundation into your skin. Okay, so on first impression with one layer on, it definitely has that like wow effect that I get when I apply the concealer. I feel like anytime I apply that concealer, I'm just like amazed at how flawless my skin looks and how great the coverage is. The coverage is awesome, but looking up close, it's definitely accentuating my pores and even some dry patches a little bit. Let me see how it looks with adding a second layer. I'm surprised though, it doesn't feel heavy though, with the coverage being as good as it is. And you can see my sunspot right here that I have is completely covered. I think it was almost completely covered with that first layer. If you like that full coverage, glam, Instagram worthy look, I feel like you would love this. Just make sure your skin is super hydrated, because I'm not really down with the fact that it's accentuating some of my fine lines. It's sinking into my pores a little bit, so I'm curious to see how this will wear throughout the day. I do like the finish of it. I feel like, I don't know, it's not that like flat matte look. It doesn't have any like powderiness to it, and it does have like the teensiest bit of shine. So I do appreciate that it's a natural finish. But yeah, I'm not down with the fact that it's accentuating some things on my face. So we'll see how this wears throughout the day, and we'll go right to the check-in. Okay, so it's like 9 o'clock at night. The foundation's been on my face about maybe like 9-10 hours by now. We kind of kept it low-key today. We just really hung around the house, and then of course did a Target run, because what else is new? But all in all, I feel like the foundation held up pretty well. I didn't say it earlier, but I did set it just with a light dusting of the Glossier Powder. And I feel like it set really nicely. I actually didn't set it right away because I didn't really feel much tackiness at all. So one great thing about the foundation is it does set nicely. It doesn't seem like it transfers at all. And I feel like the coverage really held up. You can still, my sunspot still isn't poking through. You can barely see it. You don't see any of my redness or anything. So that was really nice to see. Now, the one thing, it definitely started to break up in some areas. You can see at the tip of my nose, it's starting to break up and look a little dry. And then in my fine lines, in my eyelids, you can see that the foundation is settled. And I feel like it's accentuating the line in between my eyes right here. And I did notice the texture around my nose where my pores are larger is definitely accentuated. I feel like the foundation really sunk into my pores, and as the day went on, I felt like my pores were more noticeable. Now I do want to try this foundation out again with more of a pore filling primer. I use my Smashbox Primerizer, and that's more of just like a really hydrating, silky primer. It doesn't really fill in my pores. So I think I'm going to do another wear test. So this is going to be a two-part kind of check-in. I'll insert another check-in after this one so you guys can see how the foundation wears with more of a pore filling primer. So we'll see how it wears tomorrow. I'll try out a good pore filling primer and I'll keep you guys posted. So I'll do another check-in. Okay, so it's like 10 o'clock at night. I've been wearing the foundation since about around noon. So it's been like 10 hours. And today I used the Catrice Prime and Fine, and then I also loaded up on moisturizer last night, and this morning I used a super rich, what did I use? Oh, the IT Cosmetics Confidence in a Cream. So I made sure my skin was nice and prepped today. And so let's start with the pros first. So I am super excited about this coverage. I can't stress that enough. It covers literally everything. It just gives you that like flawless finish, and the coverage really does stick around. This has great lasting power as far as the coverage goes. Now, as far as wear time with breaking up, the foundation just doesn't stay put. It just starts to look cakey throughout the day. My pores are maybe a little less noticeable with the Catrice primer, but you can still see a lot of texture. And then Same thing today on my nose, it started to break up, and then in between my eyebrows it's breaking up a little bit, and it just looks like just really dry and heavy. Now the one thing though, even though it looks kind of dry and cakey, it doesn't feel like that. It feels actually really lightweight. So if you don't like that heavy makeup-y feel, I feel like you would like this. I think, however, this is going to be like my nighttime foundation, just for when I want like a nice, you know, glam, like full coverage look. During the day, it's definitely not forgiving, especially if your skin concerns are fine lines and wrinkles and large pores. It really highlights texture. So I was really disappointed to see that. It's a heavy foundation. It's super full coverage, but if that's your thing, if you like full coverage glam, this is your foundation. If you're any bit dry, if you have some dry patches, make sure they're nice and smoothed out before you apply this, because it will highlight dry patches. Oily skin, I think it might wear a little better on. Unless you have larger pores, I think it would definitely highlight your pores. So bottom line, your skin has to be in pretty good condition for this foundation to work. Make sure you use a good hydrating primer. Try to fill in your pores with your favorite pore filling primer, because I think this foundation definitely needs it. I'm so curious though about the primer they released with this foundation. Maybe that primer is made for this foundation. Maybe that's what this foundation needs, because yeah, it just really needs a nice smooth canvas. If you're self-conscious with any texture on your face, this may not be a very forgiving foundation, but if you're a high coverage girl and that's your thing, then you would love this. So I don't know, I think I'm going to save this as like my nighttime foundation, my event foundation, because the coverage is amazing. And I will say, I think this is the most comfortable high coverage foundation that I probably have ever worn. I don't think I've ever worn something that feels so weightless but yet covers so much. So I was really happy with that. And I just think when you apply this, just like I did, I was just amazed at the coverage, and that they really got right. So yeah, this is definitely not a daytime natural looking foundation. It's definitely going to give you that high coverage matte effect. I do love the matte finish of this. I feel like it's not too powdery, like I said, and I feel like it does give some life to the skin, so I do appreciate that. But yeah, I think I'll save this for my nighttime events. Love the full coverage, love the weightless feel, but yeah, just not into how it accentuates all my texture on my face. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this review. Let me know if it was helpful. Please leave your comments down below. I would love to know if you guys are interested in this foundation or not. And also, if you've tried out this foundation, let us know if it worked out for you, and I would love to know your skin type as well. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed, and yeah, I'll see you in my next video. See you guys.